And welcome to a brand new episode of the Unhinged Vibes Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the season finale for the Book of Boba Fett and also episode 7 of Peacemaker. I'm here with...
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Coastal, a.k.a. Coast Dynasty, a.k.a. the Blizzard of the Coast. Oh, is it awful out there, man.
Oh, yeah, it is. And also, I'm here with...
What up, everyone? It is Noslin69ers. How's it going, everyone?
All right. And me, of course, Mr. Caramel Thunder, Caramel with 2 L's. We are recording in the middle of a blizzard right now. It's pretty crazy outside, but hopefully where you are right now, it's a little bit better, or at least when you're listening, it's a little bit better. We're going to be talking about the 2 shows right now that we are currently reviewing who deserve their own episode. But like always, boys, how you guys doing today? Noslin, let's start with you, man. How's your day been so far?
Good. Just came home from work and had to drive through that cold snow. But other than that, I am doing well. How about you guys?
Very nice. Coastal?
The snow, man. I'm done. I'm over the shoveling, man. I think I cursed the city when I sort of talked about how shoveling is kind of my favorite chore because it gives me a little bit of alone time. I can throw on the buds and put some Unhinged Vibes in my ear while I get a little bit of alone time and shovel. And no, I'm done. This is way too much shoveling this season. So if I'd never have to see the shovel for the rest of the season, I'd be way too happy. But other than that, hey, it's how our city lives, man. So I can't really complain.
Yep. Very true. Very true. It's been really cold out there. I've been shoveling essentially every single day. So
I was at minus 30 and shoveling and snowing right now. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But anyways, I know one place that isn't snowing, and it's for sure on Tatooine. So let's talk about the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett. So the questions I'm going to ask you guys are, number 1, what did you like about the episode? What was one thing you liked? What is one thing that you did not like? And overall, how did you think the first season of the Book of Boba Fett went? Okay, so let's start off with Coastal. Let's start off with, name us one good thing. What was one good thing that you liked about this last episode of the season?
One good thing, huh? I mean, the battle scene itself, like as a whole, on its own, was cool, right? The fact that they set up to this fight between the Pike Syndicate and them, the actual battle itself was cool. I thought that it was handled well in terms of as a standalone scene. Mm-hmm. What I didn't like, it had a little bit of that of the same thing that I felt about the last season of Game of Thrones, man. Just everything felt rushed getting into this fight, and it didn't marinate enough over the course of the season that I didn't care enough about things I should have cared more about. Yeah. So that's sort of my general. I guess I'm answering what my general feelings on the season were. And one thing I specifically didn't like, I guess, was when they were trapped. I didn't get the sense of foreboding that I probably should have, because I just didn't have enough time with these characters, right? Like when the Gamorrean guard died, I should have cared more, and I just didn't, because we barely saw them, right? So when the Rancor finally showed up to start taking some heads, man, I didn't care enough because we saw him in one scene. So yeah, that's probably my takeaway from this all, is that it was fine, but the pacing either was too slow over the season or it needed 10 episodes.
Okay. Noslin, what about you, buddy? What was one good thing and one bad thing about this last episode of season 1?
The one good thing, I think for me was seeing the baby Rancor. I knew it was going to end up coming out, and it came out in the battle. The battle scene was pretty good. But I think, like Cole said, I think they could have maybe, I think if there was maybe another episode or 2, I think it would have been a little bit better. But overall, I think it's a really good episode and show one thing I didn't like, if there was one thing I didn't like, it was probably that maybe it needed an episode or two more just to, I guess, get everything in line. But other than that, I think with the amount of episodes that they had, I think they did all they can do with the time and the episodes that they had. Like, it was nice to see a couple of the, backstory with Boba Fett mixed in with, real time. It wasn't like one of those where it's just the whole episode was just a flashback. So it was nice to see that. Like I said, other than that, I'm overall impressed with the show. Not really one thing I didn't like, except for, like I said, they probably could have used one more episode to, I think, even everything out a little bit more.
Okay. I'm essentially on the same track as both of you. My one good thing was actually seeing Mandalorian and Boba Fett kind of have their own spotlight of having like their own back-to-back moment. So it was very nice to have their moments. So both of them fly out, they're back to back, they're shooting. They essentially shoot that one guy off a roof, and they shoot him 15 times before he falls to the ground. Just that back to back moment scene was actually one of my favorite parts of the episode. One of my negative things was not to overlap the whole pacing and whatever else, because we'll talk about that later. But I wish we saw either Ahsoka or Luke come in with Grogu, right? It was nice to see R2 there, whatever else. But when you see the X-Wing, like, I was expecting to see Luke and have Grogu sit on his lap or whatever else. But of course, when you didn't see that, I'm like, okay, R2 is piloting the ship. Okay, that makes sense. But I wish we saw something in regards to that, or at least Grogu make the choice. Right? It'd be nice if we saw Grogu make the choice, and then Luke just not essentially saying goodbye, but saying, okay, I wish you the best, this and that. The Force will always be with you. May the Force be with you. And send him off and this and that, right? So going on to both your points about the pacing, in my opinion, when it came to the first at least 2, maybe 3 episodes, it felt like the pacing for the first 3 episodes was based on a show with 20 episodes long. That's how it felt to me.
Agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So the pacing on the first 3 felt like it was going to be a 20-episode series. But then when we went on to episode 4, 5, 6, 7, that 20 shrunk down really quick to 7. That's how I felt. I felt that essentially a 14, 15 episode arc ended up being 4 or 5 episodes long.
I think so.
So it was kind of hard to judge the pacing of it, only because it was super slow. It took their time in the first 3, and then it was just guns blazing, balls to the wall for the last 4 or 5 episodes. So, did you guys feel that? A good question is, what would be a proper length of episodes for this series that you think would do it justice? Noslin, what do you think a good episode length would be a good number for the series?
I would say 9 or 10, because one thing I wish we would have saw was the city sort of turning on Boba Fett. We don't really see what happens. They just, boom, it just happened, right? So, like, I wish there was a little bit of storyline going into that, or at least dwell on it a little bit more. And I think that could have been a nice episode right there.
Okay. Cool. So what about you? What do you think a good episode length for the series would be?
I agree with Noslin. I think 10 is a nice one. I think minimum 8. Like, when we were talking about this review, the previous episode, one of the reasons why I was so adamant that you were wrong that this was only a 7-episode season was like they had too many loose ends to tie up in that one episode. Yeah. Right? And I thought, if nothing else, if we got to bare minimum 8, you would give them 45 more minutes. It would give us one more scene with Boba learning how to ride the Rancor. It would give us one more scene, sort of establishing. I didn't mention that the one thing I didn't like about this episode was Cad Bane, because I thought you were going to go on a tirade about that. It would have given us a little bit more about, how dominant Cad Bane is, like how legitimately, like how much of a legitimate threat he is. It would have given us an opportunity, like you said, to have that goodbye scene with Luke and Grogu, and like Noslin said, it would have given us at least one scene to show us establishing that, as much as they did say at the end, we told you that we were going to turn on them, like at least start sowing the seeds, showing the foreshadowing that those guys, as much as we knew that they were going to turn, show us that they're going to turn, like the other syndicate heads, or not the syndicate heads, but the other crime families, right? And then on top of that, just it would have given us a little bit more. One thing I forgot to mention that was really cool was seeing Fennec Shan just raise hell. You give us, that was a 30-second scene, right? Give us 4 minutes, 5 minutes of that, of her breaking through, killing guards, getting, give us a little bit more. So I think my main complaint about this season wasn't so much that it just didn't give us enough. So
yeah, honestly, when it comes to both your accounts, I think those would have been great. I was thinking more like I wanted more. I wanted maybe 15 episodes.
Ooh,
15
nice.
Max, if not maybe 12. Like minimum 12. Because yet again, with the pacing with the first few, it really felt like this was going to be a long series on how it was going. Because like they were chipping off little chunks in the beginning, and then all of a sudden the sledgehammer came through, and they started whacking off huge pieces off that piece of marble, and now you have your sculpture, right? Like after 3-4 hits. So it's like, I think for me, I think 12 episodes minimum would have been nice. Yet again, more backstory on Freetown and how they decided if they wanted to come in or not. An episode with just Cad Bane would have been really good.
Yeah.
Right? An episode. Just with Cad Bane and the Syndicate would have been nice. An episode with just the other crime families. And like maybe like that episode would be like more an espionage kind of style episode, this and that. Honestly, there's an episode with just training the Rancor. Right?
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just like 20 minutes, but at least hint upon that the Rancor was being trained, this and that. Also, where's your Tito Machete? Like, where's he in all this? Right? So I agree that minimum 8 would have been great, but this series would have been at least well drawn out if it was like 15, like max 15 episodes long, right? So it felt really rushed.
How many episodes were the Mando seasons? Weren't they 10 each? Were they 10 each?
They were double digits. Yeah, I think at least 8 to 10. At least 8 to 10.
Yeah, and that's why I had no issue with the pacing at the beginning of the series, because I thought that it was not going to end at 7.
Yep. It's also bad to see that 3 of those episodes were Mando episodes. Like essentially, you got a 4 or 3 episode Boba Fett series. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I mean the best that is a bit of a damning indictment on the book of Boba Fett, where the best parts of the book of Boba Fett did not include Boba Fett, right?
Yeah.
So that's a little unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. It's also like in an interview, the guy who plays Boba Fett was like, "Why isn't there more action in the first few episodes? Like, there's just so much talking. Like, I want action. People want action. The action they got was from the Mando."
Yeah.
And like he said that in an interview. Like he's like, I talked to directors. I thought there'd be more action for me to do. Except I'm doing a lot of talking and a lot of flashbacks and this and that. And like, this is the book of Boba Fett. They want to see Boba Fett do what he does. Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's great that he's changed a new leaf and he's starting a new life, but I am still Boba Fett. And it sucks that people see that Mando saved the series. I'm like, Mando didn't save the series. Mando just took over the series. That's it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's also a fair question too, right? Because like you said, it is the book of Boba Fett. And you said he's talked about how he's changed. And we did see a little bit of the hint with him with the Tusken Raiders, but I mean, again, this goes back to the pacing of the episode. I would have loved to have seen more as to why does he want this? Why does he even want this throne?
Exactly.
Right. And again, just leads back to 7 episodes wasn't enough. It just every complaint I have about the show, and I don't want this to come off as me sort of, dumping all over Boba Fett, because by and large, I don't regret watching any of this. It was a very enjoyable season, so I do need to stress that I enjoyed it. So I'm just sort of nitpicking at the things that I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of. And again, all the stuff that I complain about is just it's coming from a place where I wanted to see more.
Yep.
So yeah. Sorry, I went off track there. I kind of lost my train of thought.
No, all good.
What were we talking about?
Even I forgot. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
Sure.
Noslin, now when it comes to the new characters that have been, at least the new to this series, which characters would you have liked to seen more? Like, were you kind of disappointed that Cad Bane, was kind of just, he was there to do his thing and then he was stabbed in the chest? Like, is there a certain character that you want to see more of? Black Chrysanthemum, Cad Bane, more Fennec Shan, the girl who owned the bar saloon. Like, is there a certain character that you wanted to see more of that you were kind of disappointed you didn't actually get a lot of backstory on?
Like, one for sure is Cad Bane. Like, we've seen in these episodes that they've done flashbacks with Boba Fett. Why not do, a quick flashback with Cad Bane? I wish they did more on Cobb Vanth. That would have been nice to see how he progressed into the role that he came into. For sure, Fennec Shan. Like, we just see her more as just the right-hand man, but do we really know what she's about, right?
Yep.
And who else? Even I wouldn't mind seeing more of the mechanic. The mechanic was kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Philly was kind of cool, but for sure it would be Cad Bane and Vanth. I think those two for sure.
Okay.
I'd like to see more of.
Okay, Coastal, what about you? Were there characters that you wanted to see more of, kind of more fleshed out instead of just rushed?
Well, on top of Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane, which I definitely wholeheartedly agree with, because I was a big Cobb Vanth guy during Mando. Mm-hmm. I want to see more of the Pike Syndicate. Like, they're supposed to be the big baddies, and that was one of the things that I never really felt threatened by them. Like, show us the scene where they did where they did wipe out the Tusken Raiders and frame the biker gang, right? Like, show us that. Mm-hmm. Show us how ruthless these guys can be, because all they talked about was how scary the Pike Syndicate are. They talked about, what they do to planets. They talked about, there was a lot of talking about how dangerous they were.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, as great as Fennec Shand is, the big bad Pike Syndicate got wiped out in 30 seconds, right? Like, they were...
Essentially, she should have been there at the beginning of the episode. Let's just be honest here.
Do that at episode 3, and then we're done with this, right? But I think they needed to do a better job of establishing just how, and it might, like I said, it might have just been a time constraint thing, right? Because there just wasn't enough episodes, but establish how dangerous this Pike Syndicate really is. So, that's sort of, that was my big thing, is just show us more of a little bit of everything. So,
I wanted to see more of the Wookiee. Like, other than Boba saving his life, let us know that it's a life debt. Like, give us some dialogue on it. Like, explain why he's staying around. Like, I want to know his motives. It's, he's getting hired, I guess, but like, really here, I want to, you show another Wookiee on screen. You show him getting his ass kicked multiple times. But he's supposed to be a badass. He's supposed to be one of the best bounty hunters. But you show him getting his ass kicked. You show him limping back to the crew. You show him getting mauled, right? It's like, give him his time to shine. Like, give him tearing a group of guys apart, this and that, like, whatever else. I wanted to see more of him. I wish every character had their moment to shine, essentially. But I don't think everyone got the chance to because of time restraints and this and that. So I'm hoping that it was just a budget thing, right? And it wasn't like the higher up saying, no, take this out, take that out. I hope it was just a budget restraint, because then it shows that, okay, next season, put a little more budget into it and then we can get more episodes and this and that, right? So, I wish everyone had their time to shine, and I wish we had a little bit more backstory on Black Chrysanthemum, right?
Black Chrysanthemum, yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had a little bit more him, because like other than him, man, the only other Wookiee that we see on screen a lot in live action is our boy, right? So I want to build more lore in the Wookiees, because other than them being slaves after Order 66, like Chewie's the only one who's essentially on big screen TV, and on the newest movies, he's not really the Chewie that we know and love, right? He's not the badass that we know and love. So I want to see more badass Wookiees out there. And hopefully Black Chrysanthemum has his time to shine in hopefully maybe Season 3 of Mandalorian or Season 2 of Book of Boba. But let's talk about the ending of the Book of Boba, because I don't think Boba is going to be back, at least as the daimyo of Tatooine. I think someone else is going to take over that mantle, because even Boba admitted it. He's good at something, but he's not good at ruling. So
he's not built for this.
Yeah, he's not built for it. What do you think is going to happen for Season 2 of Book of Boba? Nalzin, what do you think is going to happen for the Book of Boba Season 2?
Well, what I think could happen is, more I think with the ending, as we saw it, he was in the what's the chamber called again? The Bacta chamber.
Yep.
Bacta chamber. Sorry. And then the cyborg that was ready to install some parts. So I think he might be the next one. How he gets it, I don't know if it's just going to be given to him or if he has to do something for it, because he's still the sheriff, whatever you want to call it, of Freetown. So he still has those two. Now, what I can also see happening is, I'm hoping, but I think what could happen is seeing more of the brother and sister. I think the Hutts.
Oh, okay, yeah, more of the Hutts.
Because we only saw them for an episode and that was it. So I think there's going to be more storyline with them.
Okay.
I think I think they'll play a big part in Season 2 on who becomes the new daimyo of Tatooine, Mos Eisley.
Okay.
Or Mos Espa, sorry. So
Okay.
I think that might happen as well.
Okay.
What I hope to happen is we get more storyline with Cad Bane. I don't think Cad Bane really died. That's my opinion, because he was still beeping from his armor after he was stabbed. So I'm thinking he's probably still alive. Who saves him, I don't know. That'll be a mystery.
Okay. Costa, what do you think is going to happen, possibly Season 2 of Book of Boba?
So I think they'll establish the start of Book of Boba Fett. They'll do a little bit of a switch around, where they're going to establish the start of Season 2 for Book of Boba Fett during Season 3 of Mandalorian, right? Which is what they sort of did here. I have a question for you two, and it might have been Nelson or Nazan might have mentioned his answer, but at the end of the episode, when Fennec says to him, you need to take a dip in your Bacta tank, and he says it's being used right now. Who's in there? Is it Black Chrysanthemum? Is it Cobb Vanth? Is it Cad Bane?
Well, did you see the end of it? It shows you.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Did it?
okay, yeah, it shows you at the very end of the credits. It's the marshal. It's the marshal who's in there.
It's Cobb Vanth?
It's Cobb Vanth, and then on essentially to the side, the guy who gave Fennec Shan his implants, he lights up a torch, and then he's gonna fix Cobb Vanth.
Jeez.
Yeah, so if you watch all the way to the very end, you see Cobb Vanth in the Bacta chamber, and the guy who gave the implants to Fennec essentially is going to give implants to Cobb Vanth. So now Cobb Vanth is going to be bionic.
Awesome. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
This is not my fault. Disney has never put any important scenes after credits. So
other than Marvel
blame
movies and TV shows.
Every movie that they've done. So, oh my God, this is embarrassing.
If you watch it, you see the Bacta tank, and you see the close up. You see Cobb Vanth breathing,
Jeez.
and then you see the implant artist just light up his hand torch and turns to black.
Cobb Vanth is back. So I mean, that's my theory. Then I guess that maybe Cobb Vanth becomes the new major domo, or not major domo, the new daimyo.
Yep.
And and then we see how it goes. But then it becomes one of those things, right? It's like, the small town guy leaves a small town to become the big city slicker. Mm-hmm. So there might be a little bit of some friction there. Mm-hmm. Man, sorry, I'm thrown off. I can't believe I didn't watch to the end.
Yeah, it's literally at the very end of the episode after all the credits.
But that happens. I should have. I've done that for every other episode. Why wouldn't I do it for the season finale? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah. There you go. So sorry, what was the original question now?
Fuck was it? Oh, where
are we going?
Yeah, where we're going in season 2.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that it is going to be something along the lines of Boba Fett realizing this isn't for him. And then we see where we go. I think both Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett sort of work best when they sort of have that Western feel to them. So sort of that lone, or I guess paired gunman look going from place to place. But you wonder if that's going to be too much if both shows are doing that. So
yeah,
the one thing I'm excited about is I don't know where they're going with the show. So that's one thing that's exciting me at least.
Okay. I actually have to agree with both y'all. One thing that I do think that Cobb Vanth is going to do, I don't think he's going to be the new daimyo. I think he's going to be the new mayor. I think he's going to be the mayor and not the daimyo, because he's not a crime lord. Let's be honest here. He's not a crime lord. He's not into the whole whatever. I think he's going to be the new mayor of not Mos Eisley, Mos Espa. Right? I think he's going to be the new mayor. And then you see Boba come in, and he's going to be the quote-unquote sheriff or bounty hunter for that area. So, I think Boba's going to take the back seat and just be the law enforcement and whatever else. And we'll see what happens when the Hutts come back in, because now the Syndicate is not there. There's going to be a power void. So, Cobb Vanth is going to be the new mayor. Now, they got to find a way to essentially, quote-unquote, get actual ruling from the Hutts. Because you don't just kill a Hutt. You got to get permission to kill a Hutt. So they got to find out how to get permission, do this and that. The whole Hutt's going to be in there. Then we get to see more bounty hunters, right, that are on the Hutt side. Black Chrysanthemum's going to be over on Boba's side. So hopefully we get to see all that happen. And maybe we get to see Cad Bane come back, but now on Boba's side this time. Because maybe Boba saved Cad Bane as well. You never know, right? I think that'd be cool. So hopefully those are my hopes for season 2. And I do hope it's longer than 7. I do hope it's at least 10 episodes. Let's be real here. Because I think it was shortchanged a lot. Essentially, half of the season was a Mandalorian season. So essentially, at least Boba needs to get at least 8 episodes of just him as the main character. Right?
And I think that, I think that, you know what, even if it is 7 or 8 episodes, I think it'll work out a little bit better for season 2. I mean, the one thing we do have to remember is that Mandalorian also picked up steam in its second season, right? It's like season 2 was significantly better than season 1. I think now that we've sort of gotten the exposition, the sort of establishing history out of the way, we know now how Boba got out of the Sarlacc pit, because that was a pretty important explanation, right? Like how did he survive it? You had to explain how he went from Sarlacc pit to his appearance in Mandalorian, right? Now that they've established that, now they can just sort of go forward with new stories. They don't have that sort of albatross or that boulder over their shoulder that they have to carry now. Now they can just tell original new stories, and the pacing hopefully works out a little bit better. Because all of us have said that we enjoyed what we saw. We just wish we had more of it. So we'll get more of it come season 2. So it'll be I'm excited for it.
Now another question, but now going into the Mandalorian side of it. With how things ended off here, how do you think season 3 of Mandalorian is going to start? Or at least, what do you think is going to happen, at least for the first plot line for season 3? Nelson, what do you think is going to happen in Mandalorian after how things ended for the season?
I think he goes back to see Luke, and they talk about Grogu. I think I think they have to establish some sort of storyline with that. And then I think he has to redeem himself to become the Mandalorian again. So certain we're going to see that as well.
Okay.
Hopefully we get to see more of the armor. She was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, will she
I
actually
love the armor.
will she actually take part in any action scenes or in helping Mando become the Mandalorian again? That'd be interesting to see.
Okay. Cool. So what do you think is going to happen in season 3 of Mando?
I think that I agree with Noslin, but I think that the order is reversed. So I think that the first part of the season is going to be him sort of trying to reestablish himself and trying to sort of find that the definition that'll allow him to come back into the fold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we end Mandalorian with that sort of confrontation between Din Djarin and Luke about what Grogu needs to do, because I think that Grogu's vital to Mando finding himself. So just, I think, written as a television show, I think that, they save the Grogu stuff for the end. So I agree with Noslin. I just think that the order is the other way around.
Oh, okay. My prediction is actually different from both of y'all. I think that the beginning of the season is going to start off with Mando trying to learn and master the Darksaber, and having Grogu help him master his inner peace. Because yet again, let's be real here, Grogu has the knowledge of being a Padawan, at least a Padawan, right? So he has some knowledge. We now know that he has to unlock it, right? Because from what Luke said, that he's not teaching him anything. He's just helping him remember the things he already knows. So maybe it's going to be a kind of a push-pull kind of thing. They're both going to get a benefit from the situation where Mando's going to help Grogu unlock his memories on the stuff that he learned, this and that, of being a Padawan. And I don't know, maybe he was a Jedi. I don't know. But I'm assuming Grogu was a Padawan. And then Grogu helping Mando learning how to use the Darksaber, having him be one with the weapon and not force the weapon to do its bidding, this and that, right? So I think he's going to learn how to do that. Then he's going to go to Mandalore, figure out what the hell's going on in Mandalore, and then maybe I can also see him also give up the Darksaber by actually purposely losing to another Mandalorian about becoming Mandalore for all the Mandalorians out there. So I think that's what's going to happen for season 3. But I know for a fact that Darksaber needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what?
Noslin, I did not see what you just wrote because it's all pixelated, bro. I did not see jack shit. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. But yeah, I think that a few things have to be addressed. One, is Mandalorian actual Mandalorian now? Does he have to do a redemption arc? Number 2, that Black Saber is a big question mark. Who is going to be ruling all of Mandalore? Who's going to take the mantle of Mandalore? Is he going to use that saber? What the hell's happening with Grogu? Is he a Jedi? Is he essentially going to be a bounty hunter with him? And then we still have the armorer. What the hell is she going to do? Right? Because I think that's also another thing. Essentially, Death Watch is still alive, and we got to know what's going to happen with Death Watch. Right? So that's my prediction of it. Overall, though, what would you guys rate the season as the big arc? So all 7 episodes as a whole. What would you rate it out of a 10? And don't rate it the first 3 as one number, the last 4 as another. Rate it as a whole. What do you think? Because we all know that the pacing was off. We all know we all talked about the problems already. But what is the actual final number that you would give this series or the first season? Nelson, let's start with you. 1 to 10, what would you rate it and why?
I would probably give it about a 7.5.
Wow. Okay.
Why for I've always been a Star Wars guy. I enjoyed how stories are. The only knock, like I said, was I wish we had a couple more episodes. But other than that, the story was great. You got to see characters that I've never seen before. I know you guys have. It was nice to see some of the nostalgia with the Naboo Starfighter, seeing another Rancor. It was nice to see that. But overall, 7.5 for me.
I like that. That's a good score. That's actually a really good score. Koso, what would you rate it and why?
So, basing it as 5 is average, and 5 is something where I'm okay with. I don't feel like I wasted my time. I would give this a 6.5. Like Noslin said, and like we've established throughout this entire episode, we've had no issue with what we saw.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything that we've watched was great. It's just we just needed a little more. We just wanted, we just needed them to sort of show us more. So, knowing that sort of at least all of my criticisms were not from what they showed but it was from, what they, didn't have time to show us. The actual show itself was enjoyable. At the end of the day, though, those pacing issues are there. So it wasn't the amazing show that I was hoping it could be, but I'm definitely there. The first Wednesday that Book of Boba Fett season 2 episode 1 is out, so it's done its job. And like I said, I didn't feel like it was a waste of time, so I enjoyed it overall.
Very nice. I would have to rate it a 7, so in between both of you. A, because of the pacing. For a show that was 7 episodes long, it felt like the first 3 were proper pacing. The last 4 were just really rushed, right? And essentially half of the episodes was not the main character. It was a side character that came in. So that's another one. Honestly, I would even bump it down to a 6 because of that, right? The name is Book of Boba Fett, but the biggest bang was not Boba Fett. Boba Fett felt like a secondary character. He felt essentially less than Fennec Shan. I actually enjoyed Mando, Grogu, Fennec, and then Boba at the very end. I thought that was like how they rated the most important characters, right? So I'm like, you got to give more props and focus to the man himself, right? The first Mando on screen. Got to give him props.
Yeah, I felt that way too. I just thought it might have been a little bit more. And it's good to hear someone else say that, because I thought that too, but I thought maybe it was just because I have more of a connection to Din Djarin than I do Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought that maybe, I just like the Mando stuff better because I like Mando more than I like Boba, right? Yeah. So, I mean, Boba Fett's not even the Tamura Morrison Star Wars character I enjoyed the most, right? It's Django. So
for me, it's Rex. So
there you go. So I mean, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, at the end of it, the guy who plays Boba, he's actually not opposed to playing a Clone Wars TV series. So he's going to be playing essentially all the characters. So I don't know. We'll see what goes on with his future, but at the end of the day, he has a lot of work because he is essentially a billion faces in the Star Wars franchise, and he can have a lot of work if they choose to have those series pop up, right? But let's end the Boba conversation here, and let's move on to Peacemaker. Now, this one might be a little bit of a quicker one, just because Noslin doesn't watch Peacemaker, which is a total shame. Because he should. Really, he definitely should. Starting off with you, Cole, so what was one thing that you liked, one thing that you didn't like, and what did you think about episode 7?
Well, it's going to be hard for me to remember one thing I didn't like. That episode was awesome from beginning to end. I've watched it 4 times.
Wow.
Because I've loved it. Yeah. Oh. I mean, just from beginning to end, it was such a great episode. It was action-packed. It was funny. My personal favorite part, and it was a really small moment, but I just laughed like crazy because it just sort of encapsulates exactly what the absurdity of the show, right? Is when Peacemaker was being chased
The White Dragon crew.
What do we want to call them? The Nazis, the Klan group.
We'll just call them the White Dragon
Dragons.
crew. Yeah, we'll just say that.
Okay, yeah. So when he's getting chased by the White Dragon crew and they're trying to get back to their car, and Economos sneaks out the other side, and there's Vigilante taking a piss, and not only is he taking a piss in the middle of like one of the most important chase scenes, but his pants are down to his ankles, which is like, yeah. And then he just mentions, "I can't pee with something touching my butt." It was just the most absurd, and the most ridiculous thing. And yeah, it was a little thing like that. Just their, yeah, it's so good. The show is so good.
Is there anything that you didn't like about it?
I'm trying to. I'm really struggling to come up with that. You know what? Let me hear what you have to say first about these things, and then maybe it'll jog my memory because I am having a lot of difficulty trying to remember something I didn't like about that episode.
No, that's totally fair. So one thing I actually really liked was we actually got to see the White Dragon use his gear. Okay? So essentially, he is a DC version of Iron Man, less high-tech. Actually, I don't know if he's less high-tech. I know his suit has less capabilities, but I think his suit is actually more deadly than Iron Man's suit, only because he vaporized that metal like it was nothing. And he went straight full board, nose dived into that thing and into the, I guess the ice cream truck or delivery truck and knocked it right over. Yeah. So we know that his suit is extremely durable. His suit is extremely deadly. He can fly. He can shoot from his wrists, right? Iron Man is a little bit more high-tech just because he has all this other gear and whatever else. But I think White Dragon can stand toe-to-toe with Iron Man, even though it's absolutely crazy, his gear set. So it's wild.
So here's the thing. I had heard somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I may have to be corrected if I'm incorrect or if the information I heard is incorrect, that James Gunn is such a comic book nerd. White Dragon is not a James Gunn creation. White Dragon, the racist supervillain with superpowers and a supersuit, was actually shown in, I think, 2 frames of a Suicide Squad comic book back in like the 70s or something.
Wow.
So he's actually an already existing character that they've repurposed, and not even they've repurposed in his sort of actual origin. They didn't just take a character and give him a completely sort of different makeover. That's actually the character. White Dragon is a KKK supervillain, and it was
makes sense.
Wow, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. One thing I do want to ask you though, when it comes to the opening like credits, like when they all dance, do you watch that every single time, or do you skip it?
I was gonna ask you the exact same question. I never skipped the opening credits. We have that skip button. I never skipped them. It's so funny because the first time I watched it, and it might have been just because I was entering hour like 4 with the Suicide Squad. I was kind of like, this is kind of corny.
Yeah, I thought that too. I'm like, this is kind of.
That song, it just sort of, the whole thing, it sort of establishes what the show is going to be. It's absurd, it's ridiculous, it's super corny, but everybody in the show is taking it super serious. Like when you look,
it puts you in a certain mind frame, right? It changes your mind frame when you start the show, because it tells you, like, okay, we're going to be over the top, we're going to be silly, but we're also going to be very serious while we do it. And it sets you and it prepares you for the rest of the show. I think if Boba did something like that, not the silliness aspect, but if they changed your mind frame in the beginning and this is what to expect, I think it would have been a little bit better. But then again, I also wish that Boba had the same pacing and storytelling that Peacemaker has, because I think it'd be a way better show. And I personally think that Peacemaker Season 1 is, I think, way, way, way better than Boba Fett Season 1 at the moment, even with Mando taking the helm from episode 4, 5, 6, 7. So
wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I get it. It's only been 7 episodes deep. I think Peacemaker is the best superhero television show of all time.
I agree. It's very good.
7 episodes. Like, there's definitely room for it to sort of slow down and go downhill from here. But the first 7 episodes, I have not been this excited about a superhero-themed television show since Smallville.
I love Smallville. Love Smallville.
That is how long we have went
And Smallville got a way better when, I think it was in season 5 or 6, where they had the Justice League come in, or the Justice Society episodes. You're like, you got to see Aquaman, Cyborg, the Flash, but like teenager versions of them. Like, oh, this is the good shit. But no, if I knew then what we were going to get now, this is the good shit. This is the good stuff.
Peacemaker is an absolute star, and he is an anchor or a pillar to the DC universe now. Just when the beginning of the episode where they establish how his brother died, just holy hell, like White Dragon's the worst. Yeah. Like Augie Smith's the worst father of all time.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, how they do flashbacks in Peacemaker is way better than how they do flashbacks in Boba.
Yeah,
like, it's a 5-minute scene in Peacemaker, but in Boba, it's half, if not 3/4 of the episode.
Yeah, and you get more information.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
So, and I care about the ancillary characters a lot more. I don't want to do too much of a show comparison, just because it's going to turn into me dumping all over Book of Boba Fett, and I try not to do that, right? but yeah, Peacemaker has just been so good, and it's every character matters.
Yep.
Like, right?
Even the bad guys, all the bad guys matter to me. All of them matter.
They do. They really do. Like and they do such a great job of setting up for the next episode, right? Like, how are they going to kill that cow?
It's also very good to see the cow. I thought it was going to be, a medium-sized animal, but no, this thing is huge.
Yeah, how are you going to kill that thing, right? And that's the thing, too, is you start putting yourself in their mindset, because they're thinking this, what we're thinking is it's going to be your standard issue
cow.
Bovine.
Yep.
Yeah. Nope.
This is huge.
Nope. It is something it's called a cow because they just milk it for food, and that's about it's got nipples. That's really the only thing it has in common. With
I saw 4 nipples. I saw 4 nipples being milked.
Yeah.
And this thing was a mountain size. This is a big cow.
So, it's such a good show.
Yeah.
It really.
Yeah. Noslin, we recommend you watching this. Maybe don't watch it with your kids. But or maybe you can. I'll know if they're into this kind of comedy, or if you allow them to watch this kind of comedy. But overall, I think this is a very good show. Like, if you allow them to watch Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad 2, this would be a good TV show for them as well. So we do recommend you watching this.
I'm thinking if my boy saw Deadpool, I think this.
He saw Deadpool. This is not. He's fine.
Good enough.
He's okay.
I was gonna say, the boy is the right age for this to strike real well, because it's just it's got so much sophomoric humor behind it.
And then you introduce 40K to him, and he's like, "This is just like 40K, super good. Play with your dad."
Yeah.
Hey, I tried, and still no. So
that's okay. He'll learn to love it eventually. But anyways, Mark, final thoughts on the overall episode, and what would you rate it?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record again when it comes to this stuff, but it was the best episode so far. I give it. Oh man, it's a 10, baby. You know it. Oh,
very nice.
Peacemaker was so good. It just had me. A lot of the scenes just had me howling during it, and then you care about the characters. John Cena's really starting to unfold like his wings in terms of his acting chops. Like the way he reacted after his confrontation with his dad is like, oh man, I've been watching this guy for 13 years. I've never seen this, right? So good on him. He's really starting to branch out. I can't wait for the season finale. And the thing is, I have full confidence that it's gonna wrap up all of the loose ends that they've got for this season and have us on a course to be ready for season 2.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I think that this show is going to be taking down a lot of walls and setting up bridges for a lot of the future DC TV shows. And I really do hope so that is the case. I would love to see, it's Super Bowl Sunday today, I believe, correct? I would love to see the characters that are in the Black Adam movie. So Hawkman, Dr. Fate, all of them, Captain Atom, to be on a TV show.
Okay.
They get their debut in a big screen setting, but now they move to a TV show where they maintain that same level of quality and then come back to the movie setting for like a big team up. I think that'd be great for them because it shows that Peacemaker is doing very well, if not the best, one of the best TV shows right now, right?
The Peacemaker formula works. Right?
Oh, 100%.
Introduce them in a movie and then have them branch out onto their own series.
Yep. And I think that it's also very gutsy, but it also worked when they also, in this episode, killed off one of the main characters, right? They killed him off, but also, what's her name? Essentially is now the new leader, and I cannot wait to see how that happens and how that works out. It's going to be good.
And you also got a little bit of a glimpse as to how the butterfly sort of society works because the leader killed Myrn. I forget what the butterfly's actual real name was.
Blue
it was like
something.
Ilnob or something, right? And and you could see just the look of shock in his sort of admirals or
from everyone else around him. They're like, what?
Like, you just murdered him. And then sort of her being pragmatic and being like, well, what did you want me to do? Right? Like,
he's a warrior.
He's an absolute threat. He knew how dangerous Myrn was, right? So, but even then, it was still shocking to the rest of the butterflies that they would kill him.
And you can tell that the butterflies are not necessarily bad guys. They're just doing what needs to be done for them to survive. Like, that's essentially their whole motive. Like, they're going after our food source. No matter what, we protect our food source. If you were in their shoes, you'd be doing the exact same things. You protect yourself to make sure you stay alive. And I think there's no bad guy. I think that it's just there's two sides or there's multiple sides and they're just going at it. That's it. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, we're humans, so the butterflies are the bad guys to us. But I get what you're saying, that the butterflies, you can't blame them for what they're doing.
Yep. I'm going to be very close to your number. I'm going to rate it a 9. Okay, I'm going to rate it a 9. John Cena's acting has gone from you can't see me to I can see all of his emotions. I can see his happy moments, his sad moments, his concern, his acting chops have very much unfolded this series, where in the movie Suicide Squad 2, he was the funny guy. He was the funny murderer guy. Right? Let's be real here.
Comic relief.
But now he's not just the comic relief. He's more than that. And I respect that a lot.
He's the anchor. He's the anchor to this franchise.
100% he's the anchor, right? So I don't know how many episodes are left in the series.
One.
Oh, okay, season finale coming up. Beautiful. Yep. So I do think that this next episode is actually going to be very well done. I have very high hopes for this last episode, and I do think this series is going to end off very close to a 10, if not a 9.5 for me. That's how well the series has been going so far.
I have incredibly high expectations for the season finale, and I expect them to meet it. Let me ask you something here.
Yeah, what's up?
Maybe something we'll ask again during our season review. But going into the season finale, who is your favorite ancillary character or supporting character?
It would have to be Waller's daughter.
Adebayo.
Yeah, it would have to be her. The only reason why is she came to the crew as not wanting to be there only because she had to, right? But then she became friends. She was essentially forced to do what her mom's bidding, and now she feels bad because she's not just hurting their team, she's hurting her friends, and she never thought she'd be friends with all of them. And it showed when the other team members were talking to her, because they saw her as not just a team member, not just a soldier, but as a friend, as a colleague, as someone that they could rely on. Where in the beginning of the series, you never would have expected that from any of them. Any of them. You never thought they'd all be friends. No, but now they really care about each other. You see over time, over the past 7 episodes, each person finding a connection with somebody else. And the series does a good job of holding on to that moment of this character and this character building a connection, this character, building a connection. Another episode, these two build a connection, where because that happens, you really do care about the team. And when someone dies or someone gets hurt, you really worry about that character. You really worry about the team in the long run. So I think, yeah, it would be Waller's daughter that I think is one of my favorite, other than my girl. So
yeah, Harcourt.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, and well, I was gonna say that you could tell that they've established that really well, because you believe Peacemaker when he tells Adebayo, like, I trusted you, and I just want to get this mission over with, so I don't have to see you. Like, you could feel the pain in his voice, and in the very childish way that Peacemaker would do it, right? But yeah, you could tell that he was really hurt by her betrayal.
Yeah. Earlier
in the season. So, and that wouldn't have been established if you didn't see them establishing that friendship, that trust going into that, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. Adebayo's been great. She's the actress who played Trudy Judy in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I just loved her as Trudy Judy. I always loved the Doug Judy episodes from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So seeing her when I first saw her, I was like, oh, Trudy Judy, and she's absolutely knocked it out of the park. So I definitely agree with you. She's great. My personal favorite has been because I didn't like him when he first showed up. Vigilante.
He's awesome, man. Vigilante's
so
awesome.
Good. Vigilante's so good as the sort of, because he always comes, right? He always comes to with that energy, and it was just always like, yeah, he's got no. I think I turned on him when my feelings turned on him when he sort of just, when Peacemaker couldn't kill the kids, and he's just like, oh, slide over, and he just, with no problem, not knowing even the issue, just had no problem killing a bunch of kids.
Boom, boom,
I was like,
boom.
Oh,
yeah.
So, yeah, Vigilante is sort of my favorite, just because I do, and they always hint at it, but I do love the back and forth that he always has with people. He is what you would see if somebody was a superhero and had some really bad Arrested Development. It's still a giant child inside. Yeah. So yeah, super immature. I don't know. That's sort of what I've enjoyed about this show, is just how sophomoric it can get, and he's about the most sophomoric character that they've got. So yeah, I've liked him.
I would love to see Vigilante on the big screen. Just to see him shine, just to have his big star moment. Even though, I know he's on TV already, but I would love to see him on the big screen. Big budget, big screen movie. Overall, I think Peacemaker, very good series so far. Cannot wait to see how season 1 ends. And I don't know if they've been renewed for season 2, but with the ratings right now, I think there's going to be a season 2, if not a season 3. Will. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
they've locked in.
Yeah,
they've locked in. This has been gold. So now 100%. It's just a matter of, the only thing that is going to stop this train now is if all the characters get too expensive.
Yep, right? Which might be the case. You never know, but I think DC's more than happy to fund their projects now, because they got a big slate coming up in the future, and they want to make sure that they are able to stack up to Marvel, even though Marvel's got that huge head start, right?
Well, and it's not just Marvel now. What we're talking about is Netflix is starting to show some cracks in their armor, right? And Disney Plus is starting to get that momentum. This is HBO Max's premier franchise right now. So it's not just an important thing for DC. It is absolutely vital for HBO Max.
Yeah, they want it to succeed, because the new the Game of Thrones is coming out, and right now they need people to subscribe all the way to the new Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And then
this is literally the only reason I still have Crave.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Me too.
Yeah, had Peacemaker not been here, I would have canceled 2 months ago. So
I would have watched it on whatever streaming service it would have been on.
Yep. So that's
all right. Anyways, final thoughts on Peacemaker, and then we'll wrap this up. What do you think, Coastal?
Let's go, baby!
Right.
Season finale. The only thing that makes me sad about this is about the season finale is we're not going to have any more episodes for a while. That's always sort of the catch-22 when you watch something you've really enjoyed, right? Is that eventually it ends. So that's why I do have a big long watch list of things I haven't watched yet, is because I'm afraid that once I watch them, I don't have them to watch anymore. And that's what I feel about Peacemaker going into the season finale.
Okay. Yeah, no, I actually have to agree with you. Overall, this is a very good show. I do not want to see it end. I know it's not going to end, because we're going to get a season 2. But I cannot wait to see where this show leads to future projects. So This honestly, good job for John Cena, HBO, and DC for making this a home run. Let's be honest here. This is going to be a home run.
Knocked it out of the park.
Even if the last episode like messes up completely,
Yeah.
the rest of it is a home run. 100% home run.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that that's not going to happen. I have no doubt they're
Yeah.
going to knock the finale out of the park.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, Noslin, my man, where can people find you? Noslin? You there?
Oh, hey.
Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Noslin69. That's my name backwards. 69 ERS.
Beautiful. Coastal, what about you?
No, I'm just kidding. There's no mute there. You can find me at Coast Dynasty on Instagram. That is COASTDY Nasty.
Beautiful. You can find me on Instagram at Caramel Thunder, Caramel with 2 L's. You can find all of us on your favorite podcast streaming service, also on YouTube. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching us on YouTube lately. Our numbers have been growing like crazy. So thank you so much. Make sure you like our videos. Make sure you please subscribe and also comment on any topics that you want us to talk about. Other than that, folks, we want to make sure you stay safe in this time of a blizzard. Hopefully it's not blizzarding where you are. But other than that, folks, thank you guys for listening on this episode of the Unhinged Vibes Podcast. See you next time. Goodbye.